It started with a taunting letter from death row. In it, a North Carolina inmate convicted of killing a 17-year-old girl boasts about his alleged life of leisure behind bars, and it has rekindled a heated debate about prison conditions, focusing on convict activities from softball teams to TV time, and whether doing hard time is really hard enough. Here's 2020 co-anchor Chris Cuomo for our series, Crime and Punishment.
Many of us imagine prison life for convicted killers as a harsh, brutal, isolated place, as portrayed in the movie The Shawshank Redemption. So when Daniel Hembry, a convicted killer, wrote a letter to the Gaston, North Carolina Gazette gloating about his comfortable life on death row, it got plenty of attention. Is the public aware that I'm a gentleman of leisure, watching color TV in the AC, reading, taking naps at will, eating 3 well-balanced hot meals a day? Often this is the reality of prison life for convicted killers. In this Oklahoma State Penitentiary, prisoners on death row still get to play dominoes, handball, and shoot hoops. At this maximum security prison in Illinois, convicted killers can shop for soft drinks and snacks
4 Mountain Dew Pops. Can I get the 4 Mountain Dew Pops?
At a well-provisioned commissary. At this prison in Nashville, convicted killers can play softball.
I got you.
They're playing softball on lined base paths with baseball uniforms, while other guys are hanging out getting a suntan.
For a quarter of a century, New York Law School professor Robert Blecker has been documenting his provocative and controversial view.
No mission statement in any Department of Corrections in the United States mentions the word punishment.
That life for convicted murderers can be surprisingly comfortable.
We think when someone's on death row or they have a life sentence, life is miserable for them. The reality?
It's completely different. Those who committed the worst crimes, who deserve to suffer the most, generally suffer the least.
Blecker, who shot the footage you see here inside prisons, says most Americans are unaware of this part of prison life. Blecker says life can be so good here, convicts claim to have killed just to get put away, like Robert Pitts, who beat a grandmother to death with a lead pipe.
I could play pool or basketball, run, you can go out and jog, lift weights, play cards.
For the worst of the worst of the worst, the quality of life that they experience day to day should be a direct reflection on the heinousness and the seriousness of the crime.
So what do you want to see?
I want to see...
The rack?
No.
Cat of nine tails?
No. I want to see, for example, their meals be Nutriloaf. Now, Nutriloaf is a tasteless but nutritionally complete patty that you eat. You get no pleasure out of it.
How killers are treated in prison can come as a shock to victims' families, like Nicholas Catterton and Stella Holland, the parents of the 17-year-old girl murdered by Daniel Hembry, who wrote that letter. Hembry strangled their daughter, Heather, then dumped her body in this ravine in South Carolina.
She was a very caring person. She cared a lot about people.
A jury convicted Hembry and condemned him to die. The family thought that would be the last they'd ever hear from him, until his letter appeared boasting about his death row perks, like round-the-clock free medical care.
We can't even take care of our own poor people, but we can take care of him sitting on death row.
They treat the prisoners the way they do because they believe there's a minimum standard of what people need to have. So you don't treat them like animals, you treat them like people.
You might be able to read a few books, but sit there and watch color TV and watch your favorite Jerry Springer show. When you start giving more rights to the criminals than you do the victims, there's something wrong with America.
Prison officials tell us these kinds of privileges are routine and help create a safer environment. And inmate rights advocates say being deprived of freedom is harsh punishment.
These prisons are just absolutely horrific places to be. There's tremendous violence throughout them. There's absolute overcrowding. We are fooling ourselves if we allow ourselves to believe that one picture of a dominoes game suggests that this is something other than just a horrific life to live.
But Blecker believes attitudes about crime and punishment might change if the public saw more scenes like this. Prisoners on Tennessee's death row enjoying the arts and crafts room. This This hard-rocking jailhouse band is called Concrete Death Puppy. 3 of its 4 members are convicted killers. If Blecker had his way, he would shut down the music for good. Blecker insists he isn't advocating prisoners be deprived their rights, just that they not be able to enjoy a life of leisure behind bars, that the punishment should fit the crime. For Nightline, I'm Chris Cuomo in New York.